Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My topic for today is World Bank and USAID. My name is Vida Shehram Sarwar and my supervisor is Dr. Professor Saira Afzal. Our quote for today is success is not final, failure is not final, it is the courage to continue that counts, and this is by Winston Churchill. Learning outline. The work, purpose, and functions of World Bank, objectives and progress of the World Bank, key dates, purpose of the body, and how it came into effect, projects carried out by the bank and its structure, World Bank Financial, USAID and its purpose, formation, and contribution, main goals and projects in Pakistan of USAID, and recent advances and MCQs. Learning outcome. At the end of the presentation, participants will know in depth about the World Bank and its developments, how it came into effect, brief history and its structure, along with the work being done by respective bodies within the bank. They will also gain insight about USAID, its purpose, some key details of its organization, goals, and its work in Pakistan. World Bank is an international organization dedicated to providing financing, advice, and research to developing nations to aid their economic advancement. World Bank or World Bank Group is an international organization affiliated with the United Nations and designed to finance projects that enhance the economic development of member states. Headquarters is in Washington, D.C. The bank is the largest source of financial assistance to developing countries. It also provides technical assistance and policy advice and supervises on behalf of international creditors. The implementation of free market reforms, together with the IMF, which is International Monetary Fund, and the World Trade Organization, it plays a central role in overseeing economic policy and reforming public institutions in developing countries and defining the global macroeconomic agenda. Organization. The World Bank is related to the UN, though it's not accountable either to the General Assembly or the Security Council. Each of the bank's more than 180 members are represented by board of governors, which meet once a year. The governors are usually the country's finance ministers or central bank governors. Although the board of governors has some influence on the IBRD policies, actual decision-making power is wielded by the bank's 25 executive directors. Five major countries, the United States, Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, and France, appoint their own executive directors, and other countries are grouped into regions, each of which elects its executive director. Through the World Bank's history, the president who serves as the chairman of the executive board has been an American citizen. What is this bank? What is the World Bank exclusively? It is a vital source of financial and technical assistance to developing countries around the world. It is not a bank in the common sense. It's made up of two unique developmental institutions owned by 185 member countries: the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is the IBRD, and the International Development Association. How the bank came into existence. The idea of the World Bank came into existence in July 1944. Representatives from 44 nations met at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, for the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference. The World Bank was formally established on December 27, 1945, following the ratification of the Bretton Woods Agreement. Why was it formed? The main reason it was formed was to rebuild a war-torn Europe after World War II. The bank issued its first loan, which was $215 million, to France for post-war reconstruction. Over time, the development side of the bank's work has assumed a larger share of its lending, although it is still involved in post-conflict reconstruction. Now, apart from reconstruction, its main mission is global poverty reduction. Objectives of the bank. Although reconstruction remains its top priority in situations such as natural disasters, needs affecting developing economies, post-conflict rehabilitation, and needs affecting a transitioning economy. Fact 5. Formation was July 1944, 70 years ago. Type is an international financial organization. Headquarters are based in Washington, D.C. in the United States. Membership is by 188 countries, which is the International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, and 172 countries in the IDA. Official language is Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. President is Jim Yong Kim, and parent organization is the World Bank Group. What is the Bretton Woods Conference? The Bretton Woods Conference was held from 1st to 22nd of July 1944. It contained 730 delegates from all 44 allied nations in Bretton Woods to regulate the international monetary and financial order after the conclusion of World War II, created two major institutions, the World Bank, which was long-term loan for distressed economy, and member countries in the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, which grants short-term loans to develop the cyclical disturbance in economy. This is basically a breakdown of the different organizations within the World Bank, which basically includes the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the International Development Association, the IDA, the International Finance Corporation, and the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, and the International Center for the Settlement of Investment Disputes. Objectives: to provide long run capital to member countries for economic reconstruction and development, to induce long run capital investments for ensuring balance of payment equilibriums and balanced development of international trade, to provide guarantees for loans granted to small and large units and other projects in member countries, to ensure the implementation of developmental projects so as to bring about a smooth transfer from a wartime to peace economy, and to promote capital investment in member countries by the following ways: A, to provide guarantee on private loans or capital investment, and B, if private capital is not available even after providing guarantees, then the IBRD provides loans for productive activities on considerate conditions. The World Bank's top borrowers include Mexico, Brazil, Turkey, Pakistan, China, India, and Argentina. And the main contributors are the USA, which is 16.39%, Japan 7.87%, Germany 4.49%, the UK, which is 4.30%, and France, which is also the same. Understanding the World Bank. The World Bank is a provider of financial and technical assistance to individual countries around the globe. The bank itself considers a unique financial institution that sets up partnerships to reduce poverty and support economic development. The World Bank supplies qualifying government with low interest loans, zero interest credits, and grants all to support the development of individual economies. Debt borrowing and cash infusions help with global education, healthcare, public administration, infrastructure, and private sector development. The World Bank also shares information with various entities through policy advice, research, analysis, and technical assistance. It offers advice and training for both public and private sectors. Examples of what the bank does: the World Bank provides financing, advice, and other resources to developing countries in areas of education, public safety, health, and other areas of need. Often, nations, organizations, and other institutions partner with the World Bank to sponsor development projects, such as the Human Capital Project. In 2017, the World Bank created this project, which seeks to help countries invest and develop their people to be productive citizens and active contributors to their economy. World Bank leaders are urged to prioritize investments in education, healthcare, social protections, and in return, they will realize a stronger economy full of healthy, thriving adults. The Human Capital Project outlines how government should invest and provide in quality, affordable childcare to promote child development, increase women's access to better employment opportunities, and increase economic growth, to name a few. To build human capital globally, the World Bank has identified several areas of focus, which include the Human Capital Index, measurement and research, and country engagement. The National Immunization Project Support Project, which was done in 2016, where it approved this project support for Pakistan. The project consisted costing an estimated 377.41 billion, aims to increase equitable distribution of vaccines to children of ages 0 to 23 months. The third comment increases awareness and promotes the program amongst Pakistani citizens, as well as addresses how their school's curriculum aligns with this initiative. And the fourth makes it possible to obtain the necessary equipment to widely distribute vaccine and increase supply chain for vaccine. Lastly, the last component of this project includes being able to expand the program's reach and enhance research and development in this field. Then another work that they do is Learning for the Future. Learning for the Future was created to enhance children's readiness for school and effectiveness of secondary education in specific Republic communities. These projects consist of two components: increasing the equitable access of early childhood education and improving effectiveness of instruction in secondary education. To meet these objectives, the program establishes 500 community-based kindergarten programs which allow for the enrollment of 20,000 children. To increase the effectiveness of instruction, the project finances a training program for 500 new teachers and provides digital resources to complement existing learning resources such as textbooks. The project also assesses how well students learn cognitively and non-cognitively. The World Bank financials. The World Bank is an organization rather than a bank, therefore its financials are not comparable to traditional financial institutions. Within the organization, there's different sectors such as the IBRD and the IDA, the IFC and the MIGA, which I basically told you guys what they stand for. As of 2020, the World Bank has loaned the most money to India, which is 39.58 billion. The International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the original World Bank loans money to creditworthy low-income or middle-income countries. The International Development Association or interest credits or interest-free loans to the poorest nations. The International Finance Corporation, the IFC, provides funds and guidance to the private sector for the purpose of helping developed nations stay on their growth trajectory. And lastly, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency ensures investments to the poorest countries to help reduce poverty and improve the welfare of our nation's citizens. World Banks. Through the years, the World Bank has expanded from a single institution to a group of 5 unique incorporative institutional organizations known as World Banks or the World Bank Group. The first organization is known as the IBRD, the institution that provides debt financing to governments that are considered middle income. The second organization, which is the IDA, a group that gives interest-free loans to the government of the poorest country. The IFC, which focuses on private sector and provides developing countries with investment financing and financial advising services. The fourth one, MEGA, an organization that promotes foreign direct investments in developing countries. And the fifth, which is the ICSID, which is the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, an entity that provides arbitration on international investment disputes. Now, our next topic is USAID. The United States Agency for International Development, which is what USAID stands for, is an independent agency of the U.S. federal government that is primarily responsible for administrating civilian foreign aid and developmental assistance. With a budget of over $27 billion, the USAID is one of the largest official aid agencies in the world and accounts for more than half of all U.S. foreign assistance, the highest in the world in absolute dollar terms. Congress passed the Foreign Assistance Act on September 4, 1961, which reorganized U.S. foreign assistance programs and mandated the creation of an agency to administer economic aid. USAID was subsequently established by executive order of President John F. Kennedy, who sought to unite several existing foreign assistance organizations and programs under one agency. USAID became one of the first U.S. sovereign assistance organizations whose primary focus was long-term socioeconomic development. Basically was formed on November 3rd, 1961, 61 years ago. Preceding agency was International Corporation Administration. Headquarters are basically Ronald Reagan Building in Washington, D.C. Motto is from the American people. Employees currently at 10,235 employees. Annual budget is $27.2 billion, and agency executive Samantha Power. Goals. The USAID's mission statement, which was adopted in February 2018, was on behalf of the American people, we promote and demonstrate democratic values abroad and advance a free, peaceful, prosperous world. In support of America's foreign policy, the U.S. Agency for International Development leads the U.S. government's international development and disaster assistance through partnerships and investments that save lives, reduce poverty, strengthen democratic governance, and help people emerge from humanitarian crises and progress beyond assistance. USAID's decentralized network of resident field missions is drawn to manage U.S. government's program in low-income areas, low-income countries for a range of purposes: disaster relief, poverty relief, technical cooperation on global issues, including environment, U.S. bilateral interests, and socioeconomic development. Understanding the United States Agency for International Development, the USAID. The USAID was established in 1961 by John F. Kennedy. He created the agency after signing an executive order to advance American interests abroad through developmental efforts in humanitarian aid. With the global economy still relatively fragile, less than 2 decades after World War II, it was essential for the US's own prosperity to promote growth in developing countries and to help nations maintain their independence and freedom. USAID works in more than 100 developing countries spanning the globe in areas such as Sub-Saharan Africa, Asia, Middle East, Latin America, Caribbean, Europe, and Eurasia. The agency, which has held offices in the areas noted above, is headquartered in Washington, D.C., with organizational units that are called bureaus. Those working in each unit are responsible for programs and activities in a specific country. The agency's mission and objective remains the same today. According to the website, it was to boost democratic values across the world in helping nations become self-reliant as they progress their own development. While promoting development and reducing poverty are its main aims, it also promotes democratic governance in recipient nations and help counteract the drivers of violence, instability, transnational crime, and other security threats. And the international agency works in a number of different sectors, including food and agriculture, democracy and human rights, economy and trade, education, environmental issues, gender equality, health, humanitarian aid, water and sanitation, and crisis and conflict. About Pakistan, the USA and Pakistan have worked together for almost 75 years on issues that are important to both nations, including energy, economic growth, peace, inclusion, education, health. USAID's current country development cooperation strategy for Pakistan focuses on fostering a more stable, peaceful, and prosperous country. To achieve this, USAID is partnering with the government of Pakistan to expand the writ of government along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border region, promote more peaceful communities in key areas, increase private sector-led inclusive economic growth, and strengthen global health security capacities. This work directly supports Pakistan's development aspirations as outlined in Pakistan Vision 2025 and its journey towards sustainable, self-reliant growth and development. Expanding the rate of government along the border with Afghanistan. The Afghanistan-Pakistan border region has a history of disfranchisement, conflict, poverty, limited basic services. Moreover, the region has historically harbored some of the world's most active violent extremist organizations, resulting in vulnerable, displaced local populations, especially young men and women. U.S. aid supports reforms in merged districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province to extend governance systems along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, improve essential service delivery in health and education, and increase citizens' voice participation and representation in local government institutions, building more peaceful communities to actively address these risks and reinforce Pakistan's self-reliance. USAID activities develop and strengthen institutional and informal leadership and coordination at the local level, empower to address identity-based grievances and foster a sense of belonging, trust, and agency among community members, increasing private sector-led inclusive economic growth to support sustainable and inclusive growth. USAID invests in activities that increase access to energy, catalyze private sector growth, investment, and trade. The focus is on creating an open trade and investment environment with an emphasis on private sector partnerships. Improving infectious disease prevention, detection, and response. Pakistan is one of the 70 countries worldwide where the US government supports a global health security agenda, leveraging investments from host government, donor partners, and the private sector to detect, prevent, and respond rapidly to infectious disease outbreaks. USAID activities support surveillance efforts, improve the use of data for decision making, develop the capacity of health workforce, and increase access to safe water sanitation so that Pakistan more success will be able to successfully prevent and detect infectious disease threats. Now, on recent advances interrogating the World Bank's role in global health knowledge production, governance, and finance. Background: in nearly half century since it began lending for population projects, the World Bank has become one of the largest financiers of global health projects and programs, a powerful voice in shaping health agendas in global governance spaces and mass producer of evidentiary knowledge for its preferred global health interventions. How can social scientists interrogate the role of World Bank in shaping global health in the current era? Main body: as a group of historians, social scientists, and public health officials with experience studying the effects of institutions' investment in health, we identified three challenges to the research. Firstly, a future research agenda requires recognizing the bank is not a monolith, but rather a distinct organizational group that has shaped investment and discourse in complicated and sometimes contradictory ways. Second, we must consider how its influence on health policy and investment has changed significantly over time. Third, we must analyze its modes of engagement and other institutions within the global health landscape and within the private sector. Conclusions: as COVID-19 pandemic continues to rage and as state and non-state actors work to build more inclusive and robust health system around the world, it is more important than ever to consider how best to document and analyze the impacts of the bank's financial and technical investments in the global south. The World Bank, the Monetary Fund, and poverty, the debt crisis into heavy borrowing steeply, rising the interest rates, and a worldwide recession had plunged a number of developing countries in the late 1970s and 1980s and was alleviated largely by policies and conditionalities imposed by the IMF and the World Bank. These policies and conditions were meant to strengthen the export and financial markets of those countries, stabilize their currencies, and reduce the reach of their governments and their economies. However, they contributed to deepening poverty and structural crises, as the reports and data published by the international financial institutions themselves, at least. Coming to MCQs. Okay. World Bank, MCQ number one. World Bank Group with the United Nations is designed to finance projects that enhance the economic development of member states. The bank is the largest source of financial assistance to developing countries. It also provides technical assistance and policy advice on behalf of international creditors, together with which two organizations play a central role in overseeing economic policy and reforming public institutions in developing countries. A, USAID and WHO. B, UNICEF and World Trade Organization. C, IMF and World Trade Organization. D, European Commission and Asian Development Bank. Or E, World Customs Organization and the IMF. Okay, so the answer is 1C, which is the IMF and the World Trade Organization. Question number two. The idea of World Bank came into existence in July 1944 when representatives for 44 nations met at Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods. The World Bank is a vital source of financial and technical assistance in developing countries. It is not a bank in the common sense, and it is made up of two unique developmental institutions owned by 185 member countries. What are these institutions? A, the International Financial Corporation, or the ICSID, B, the IDA and the MIGA, C, IMF and the IFCD, which is the IBRD and the IDA, or E, the IBRD and the IMF. Anyone? Okay, so the answer for this is 2D, which is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development and the International Developmental Association. Question number three. The Bretton Woods Conference, formerly known as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, was a gathering of 730 delegates from all 44 allied nations at the Mount Washington Hotel. It was held from the 1st to the 22nd of July. What was its main purpose? A, to regulate international monetary and financial order after the conclusion of World War II. B, to foster agricultural growth in third world countries. C, to set up medical camps in war-torn regions. Or D, to form a union between its member countries to end political instability. Or E, the member states would safeguard their defenses and develop into a federation. The answer for this is A. Question 4. The main reason why the World Bank was formed was to rebuild a war-torn Europe after World War II. The bank issued its first loan to France for post-war reconstruction. Over time, the development side of the bank's work has assumed a larger share of its lending, although it's still involved in post-conflict reconstruction. Now, apart from the reconstruction, its mission is global poverty reduction. Which country is the World Bank's top contributor? A. USA, B. France, C. Japan, D. Germany, or E. United Kingdom?
Alpha.
Yeah,
A.
the answer is A. B. The Learning for the Future project was created by the World Bank to enhance children's readiness for school and effectiveness of secondary education in Kyrgyz Republic communities. The project consists of two components: increasing equitable access of early childhood education and improving effectiveness of instruction in secondary education. What was done to meet these objectives? A. All old textbooks were replaced by new curriculum. B. An entrance test was put in place to make admission process more rigorous. C. 500 community-based kindergarten programs were set up, training programs for new teachers and digital learning outcomes utilized. D. School fees were reduced and scholarships were provided to exemplary students. E. School uniforms are mandatory and stricter checks and balances were implemented.
C.
Yes, the answer is C. Question number 6. The World Bank is an organization rather than a bank. Within the organization operates different sectors such as the IBRD, IDA, IFC, and the MIGA. What is the role of the MIGA? A. Loans money to credit-worthy, low-income or middle-income country. B. Issues credits or interest-free loans to the poorest nation. C. Provides funds and guidance to private sector for purpose of helping developing nations stay on growth trajectory. D. Investments to the poorest countries to help reduce poverty and improve the welfare of a nation's citizens. Or E. Providing free healthcare and education to deserving nations. The answer is 6D. Question 7. The USAID is an independent agency of the US federal government that is responsible for administrating civilian foreign aid and developmental assistance. Congress passed the Foreign Assistance Act, which reorganized the US Foreign Assistance Program and mandated creation of an agency to administer economic aid. USAID was subsequently established by executive order of which president? A. Bill Clinton, B. John F. Kennedy, C. George Bush, D. Theodore Roosevelt, or E. George Bush? Sorry, I repeated George Bush again. I'll fix this. Or E. Obama? The answer for this is B. George F. Kennedy. Question number 8. The USAID is a US government-run international agency. It works for more than 100 developing nations, headquartered in DC with a budget of 27 billion, and is one of the largest official aid agency in the world. What is its main mission? A. To help displaced American abroad, to help displaced Americans abroad. B. To boost democratic values across the world and help nations become self-reliant while advancing American interests abroad. C. Promoting American culture and standards of living in third world countries. D. Offering employment opportunities to people in developing countries along with a chance to move to the United States. E. To tap agricultural production potential of the countries it provides aid to.
C.
No, the answer for this is 8B. 9. The US and Pakistan have worked together for 75 years on issues that are important to both nations. USAID's current developmental cooperation strategy for Pakistan focuses on fostering a more stable, peaceful, and prosperous country. To achieve this, USAID is partnering with the government of Pakistan to expand the writ of government along Pakistan's border with what country? A. Tajikistan, B. China, C. Iran, D. India, or E. Afghanistan?
B. China.
No, this is Afghanistan, as we discussed, because they are working on the Pakistan-Afghanistan border because it's an area of conflict. Question number 10. In April 2016, the World Bank approved the National Immunization Support Project for Pakistan, which helped enhance the country's vaccine distribution to the most vulnerable. This project costing an estimated 377.41 billion, aims to increase the equitable distribution of vaccines to children of what age groups? A, 1 to 5 months, B, 6 to 12 months, C, 0 to 23 months, D, 1 to 5 years, or E, 0 to 12 months?
D. 1 to 5 years.
The answer is 10C, 0 to 23 months. This is the key. These are my references. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Reda. You can end the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.